All right, I'm here with Colin Padget, Founders Metals. If you follow me, you know this story already. It's only been a couple of months since Colin and I last caught up with each other, but I would suggest that there's certainly been no time wasted in terms of news being produced by Founders in the meantime. And so Colin's us here today to help us kind of caught up on the last month or two of headlines, because as I kind of referenced, there are quite a few of these, and so it's going to be a quick update here. But I'll turn over to Colin. Colin, thanks for coming onto the show again, and how are you today?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, down in Suriname right now. I'm happy to be chatting and getting an opportunity to actually talk and get some of this information out to people, because it's been a very busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, and exciting news. Yeah, this is not well, I was going to say nothing boring like board changes, but there is a board change, and this is actually one of those rare kind of pretty exciting ones, or obviously exciting ones for retail folk. And why don't we just jump into it right there? That's where I've kind of got us queued up. I'll just bounce across here. And so Chris Taylor, there's your first headline, right? Chris Taylor, if you're in this industry, you know very well who that gentleman is. I've had the pleasure of speaking with him. I think he's a great guy and obviously a very astute mining mind. Do you want to I've got some follow-up questions, but do you just want to kind of set the table for us and chat? I mean, what got Chris Taylor involved? How did this come to pass when he joined you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it was not a relationship I had. It was other shareholders, shareholders in Great Bear that overlap with us here at Founders. One of them being Rob Colin with Dynamic, who's definitely a big supporter of Chris during all of the Great Bear days, and he and I think a number of other people, and many of them, unbeknownst to me, had been I think poking Chris a bit and saying, "Hey, have you had a look at this?" And it wasn't until in September that I actually sat down with Chris on a call and went through the story and introduction and all of that, and certainly seemed to like the story. We did the technical update, and I mean, I think that's where he was most impressed, is just the level of technical detail that we were able to show him. I think Vincent has a few pretty impressive figures in his deck online. It's on our website right now, the technical deck, and they're for a paper he's writing on the property. So at first, Chris was like, what program are you using to make these figures? And I mean, they're a lot more elaborate than you might normally find in a technical presentation. But I think he took a lot away from that and was happy to come on board shortly thereafter. So,
yeah, the Vincent Combs software, eh? Well, I mean, I guess you referenced the technical kind of expertise or the display of master that you're rapidly sort of advancing that, and we'll reference this with B2 Gold as well. But can you maybe provide a bit more detail about what it was that Chris, if you, in hindsight, and maybe we'll get Chris on at some point and let him speak for himself, but what was the wow factor, or what kind of particulars were there that you think kind of helped seal the deal for him?
I mean, I think honestly is the level of detail and work and like caliber of work I think that have been done on the technical side, and just the understanding that we had of the deposit for a company, as far into it as we are, which isn't really that far, I think was pretty impressive. I mean, Chris is quite a technical guy himself and is a structural geologist. So, having, Vincent get on there and, go through the full spiel, and, get into the stereo nets, get into all of that. I think he was, pretty impressed by all of it. I think as well, the founder story, it's, that we don't have he's not coming in to solve problems. He's really coming into a story that, he can, help. I think for me, certainly from a mentorship standpoint, and definitely is a big help having someone else on the board to call and ask questions to. There's a lot of help with, getting through this most recent financing and bouncing ideas off him, with respect to the B2 piece and some other things around that. So it's been a great addition.
Well, you sort of anticipated my next question, is just you kind of referenced mentorship. I mean, he's obviously been there and he's been around the block and have a couple of big wins to his name, as we all know. Is that maybe primarily his role? I mean, obviously on the board there's going to be a wide variety of things that he'll contribute to, but so far, how active has he been? And as you kind of anticipated or already partly answered, what is it necessarily that he's kind of helping with the most for the time being?
I mean, the time being, or so far, it's been just a lot of advice and just providing his perspective on things. And he's been pretty open about kind of being as as involved as I'd like him to be, and certainly like him to be quite involved. As the technical piece, obviously he understands the markets, etc., and how that all works. So, just been all around a very helpful addition to the team, and kind of a first step. I mean, we're in that process of bringing people that are, I'd say, make sense for the project and for the company as to where it's grown now and where we see it going. He's step one on that road. So.
Well, why don't we, just switching gears, we're trying to, like I say, try to keep it a little quick here because we had a good sit down just recently, but oops, I'll go back one here, pardon me. You had a couple of really quick kind of back-to-back financings. The first one here, I'm not sure if there's necessarily a whole bunch to talk about, but just went from $15 to $20 million, kind of a drop of a hat, no warrants, nice big premium. At this point, they're already pretty green compared. I think they just said you guys are trading 340 or something, right? So
they're doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not bad, I guess, right? For a couple of weeks' work. But let's focus on B2 Gold, though, right? This was the big one that came a couple of days after that announcement. 5% stake at 275. Again, kind of the same thing, so the same range of questions I just asked you about Chris. How did this come to pass? Let's just start there, right? How did B2 Gold, who reached out to who? How was that process sort of enabled, or how did it begin?
Well, so I'll start with saying, I guess, on the financing or the bought deal side of things, we started at 15. We really wanted to keep it to that. We didn't have any, built-in upsize or allowance for the bank or anything there. We really wanted the 15 and to kind of continue keeping things as tight as we can. When we got into it, the interest was such that to get the institutional shareholders, the new ones in there that we really wanted to have, as shareholders of founders, or come into the story, we needed that extra $5 million really to provide space to make that happen. And so, substantially oversubscribed, which is great to be able to say. And we were able to, add quite a few new names to it. These are, 4-month-old paper, but these are, a lot of long only, sizable funds that really are focused on sticking with companies for the long haul. So I was very happy with that. Really, the B2 thing got started, a few months ago now, but in general, we were pretty open with, access to the data room for corporates that want to get in there. I think, and this is actually a conversation I had with Chris as well, is, keeping people or keeping the potential future strategic partners kind of as all on the same page or as close to the same page as you can is advantageous from a long-term competitive standpoint. So, they came in, they obviously understood that there were other people that were already in there. They came down to site very quickly thereafter. And then kind of the conversation just went from there. They were interested kind of right out of the gate, and the timing lined up with the financing. It was intentional. We announced the B2 thing concurrent with the financing, just didn't put a name to it. And that kind of gap in between there was largely just making sure we had all of the legal everything, T's crossed and I's dotted sort of thing. But the way the language turned out, I think it worked out quite well. It's also from just getting more eyes on the story, getting people, wondering a little bit for a day or two in the middle, and it worked out very well.
Yeah, they got to know how to play the game, eh? B2, obviously that's a name people recognize again, and having that on your roster as a strategic, the things that they bring to the table. Maybe do you want to, obviously there are huge advantages for, a big brother sort of that sort of deal to come in like that, but can you discuss, again, what are you hoping to see them contribute or add or to help founders grow?
From day one with B2, it's really been, I don't think we necessarily need a technical validation. I think at this point, given our team, Chris had already joined at this point. I think we've had that in spades probably, but bringing, B2 on for us, it meant having that still, on-site active technical support that, we've been very open with them from the beginning. That's been a part of it. They certainly have experience from a, mind building, development, et cetera standpoint that we don't have presently, on the team. And so, That was a big part of the conversation early on, and both sides kind of felt the same way. So it wound up being a bit of a fit. I do see them, I mean, certainly, Andy, their BPX has been down the site, tends to come back, and I think we'll try to do as much collaborating on the ground as we can. We'd like to see it be an active partnership. But yeah, from a deal standpoint or from the numbers side of it, one of the things that attracted us actually to the B2 offer really was the 5% piece. There's rights to earn up to 9.9%, but that initial 5%, they earn into 9.9, no real strings, I guess, attached, was very attractive to us at this point because it keeps that long-term competitive tension. So ultimately, it kind of ticked all of the boxes.
And so I guess, again, I have the risk of just being a little repetitive here in terms of my questioning with Chris Taylor as well. But I mean, I have highlighted here, Clive Johnson, CEO for B2, same thing, right? Very impressed by your technical and management team. Is that similar to why it's sort of similar bounds to what Chris was impressed by? Or can you, again, just provide some color on what it was that struck out to B2 Gold that you think that kind of helped seal the deal for them?
I mean, I think that's the same comment that Chris has provided, but also that the first part of his comment or Clive's comment is, the potential for tier one discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's the interest of all of the corporates or just potential future strategic partners that have contacts that got involved. Is they see the opportunity at Antino for something sizable, and that's that's what brings the interest. So.
No, absolutely. And so, this is going to be one that I know is material, so I don't expect that, but you'll forgive me if I kind of dance around the edges a little bit. But were there other suitors that kind of came in second to be too cold in this little round in terms of the strategic to bring on?
Yeah, I mean, it's generally competitive, period. Like which is, I mean, understandably so, and lots of people coming at it from kind of different angles. But yeah, I'm happy how it's worked out for sure.
And then, so again, like I say, just to push my advantage here a little bit, but can you say what why, as much as you can, right? Why was it B2 Gold? Why did B2 Gold kind of end up as the selection of choice?
I mean, really, I think our team on the ground in particular, like everyone really kind of hit it off with the guys on the B2 technical team side, which is important because that was so important to us. And then, so there's the kind of relationship piece there. And then after that, from a corporate level and, at a board level, really like there was a lot, it was very attractive that there weren't a lot of strings, or really any long-term strings for us. B2's, was willing to take that risk, I guess, and get involved with us, in a similar fashion to how they've gotten involved with Snowline. And, get in at this level, move forward with us. And for them, I imagine, they look at it as a long-term opportunity to, if things develop as they've been going, it provides them maybe a foot in the door down the road. But, it's ultimately competitive tension, maintaining that. It's really, that was number one on the corporate level, but then just the people and the relationship was what brought in the rest.
Just at the risk of editorializing here a bit, but I totally agree. I mean, the kind of the culture and the rapport that your team has on site down there was very obvious to me, evident to me having visited that. So that's, like you say, referencing that sort of cultural fit. It makes sense to me in hindsight that you would go for that because you do seem to have a very, very strong and tight-knit, cohesive team. So, yeah, not a question there, but maybe this is a quick and dirty one. We're 14 minutes in. Let's just end on classic. I mean, how do I not have an interview about mining without discussing exploration or recent discoveries or hits, right? So, I mean, Boise, this is a few weeks back now. I mean, had a nice little kind of a new discovery, a little opening up of Boise, I guess, right? But do you just want to, I mean, where are the rigs at, right? You got a few rigs down there. Where are the rigs at, and what might we expect in terms of future drill results, where they're coming from, and when, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. Yeah, honestly, for a 12-hole program, those kind of results that you just had up there from Boise is pretty phenomenal. I mean, 78 meters, 2.35, 20 meters is over 7.5. And then we wound up kind of putting, the thesis that we went into it together. We see these high grade things, that interval there, that's in a high stress zone within the tonalite or within that intrusive rock. But then we're also seeing high grade stuff in the margins. And then, we were able to demonstrate that there are some broad intervals of that kind of background type grade. So that idea of having this intrusive body with, bulk tonnage type numbers, and then these high grade strain zones, shear zones, that are bringing up that average, I think is proved out. And we're definitely pretty thrilled about moving forward there with the phase 2 of things. And so another 7,500 meters planned, and well into it. Where are the drills? We've got one in each of the kind of main locations, I'd say right now. So Upper Antino, as always. And we've done a little bit more work on the east side of things over at Donut. And, I guess I'll stop right there, and I'll just say that there will be a press release coming out with results for all 3 areas by the end of the year. But then Rig 1, Upper Antino, Rig 2, down at Boise, working on phase 2 of that work. And then Lower Antino is where our third rig is sitting right now. We're, I think, on our 8th hole right now at Lower Antino. And pretty happy with what things look like on the table, and waiting to get some assays back. And I think just the size of the anomaly there, I've been pretty excited about kind of that target in general, given the scale of it relative to Upper Antino and all of that. So I'm happy to actually be there and drilling, and happy to have the guys on the ground excited about what they're seeing, and to get to see it yesterday actually myself. So in terms of order, we'll have Lower Antino actually probably get something out on that just to give people an update there. And then after that, Boise, Upper Antino, just depend on timing of results and things. Beyond that, for other press release or news, just kind of catalyst things, the final results from our metallurgy work will be coming out this fall as well, before the end of the year. And we'll probably squeeze in a bit of an exploration update as well, on some of the results that are pending now, and we'll have more from the Lawa area over to the east.
Well, that was a question, if you don't mind me. We are kind of at the end of it here, but I mean, this is the good problem to have, is there's no shortage of targets, so your drills are kept very busy. There's a lot of excitement online that I think is kind of starting to brew around Lawa, and I think that's for good reason. If Upper, Lower, or Boise had been maybe a bit more barren, a bit more sparse, maybe we already, I guess maybe a question is, when might we see Lawa? Is it at a drill ready stage? We're just waiting for a drill, or is there still more above ground work yet to do?
More above ground work to do, for sure. I mean, it's far enough away, like from a logistics standpoint, that, we want to, really have things dialed in as far as targets go. Surface sampling on the ground, just seeing the scale of the artisanal or the alluvial mining, we have all the indications of something to scale there. We're doing some, pretty sizable trench sampling programs. And then we have some broad auger sampling programs over that whole area as well to try and hone things in a bit more. I mean, there's some obvious targets right around, where the guys, the artisanal guys have mined in the past, where we can, see the rock right now. But, we use that as kind of, that's the location that got us there. We want to, see what the scale is around it before we get over there. Timing wise, pending results, we're looking to get over there for a phase 1 type test of things, in the little dry season in kind of March, April, range. I mean, but right now with how much is, coming out of Boise and Upper Antino and Lower Antino, I mean, there's a lot of targets close to home, close to the main camp. And so we do get in a situation where we don't want to be spread too thin, stay focused on things that are, basically it comes down to what's the most efficient, and it becomes a bang for the buck or a drill meter for the buck kind of question as well. So, we'll prioritize as much as we can the things that, logistically simplest and that we can get the most out of the fastest. But we've talked about Lawa enough, and I think everyone on the team is excited about it enough. We're definitely, going to get something over there as long as the results warrant it. And I think they'll come out well.
No, excellent. And we've got, before end of year, an exploration update with some more meterage results. We've got a met work update as well. Did I miss something else there? Is that kind of the 2 checkpoints we can look forward to before 2025?
So three different drill result press releases. We'll get some metallurgy, full metallurgy work out of the upper Antino area. And those are the big ones. There's hopefully we see some, I don't know if it'll be by the end of the year, but some movement with some of the concession piece as well. We're actively looking to grow some of that and around us. And it's a work in progress.
Oh, and I guess if you don't mind, I keep tacking one on here. This was not on my list, but you're potentially doubling the hectares under your control. Can you speak to that? I mean, is this just because it's so prospective, you just want to expand your footprint to make sure you don't miss anything, or is there more kind of direct evidence that there's things beyond your current boundaries that you would want to explore in short order?
I mean, there's things all over Suriname that I'd want to explore in short order if that was a possibility. It's pretty enticing all around, and certainly flying over that whole belt. And really, there's lots there that would warrant quite a bit of exploration. Ultimately, though, I mean, the land package addition, it's obviously a big thing for the bigger guys. It makes that big package makes it an attractive target as well. So we're thinking about it from that standpoint. But certainly, if we're adding ground, we're going to be doing some work on it as well. But again, keeping in mind that you can't spread yourself too thin. And that's where we're going with it.
Yeah, and no shortage. Yeah, no shortage of targets and results from what we've talked about in the recent past about can't even get off Antino hardly, and so why? Yeah, no stress about the shortage of targets, right? So,
yeah. Okay. I guess the only other was we mentioned briefly in the last press release, we do have a fourth rig. So kind of fully turning. We're messaging kind of the start of January, but with any luck, we'll actually have that machine going here before the end of the year. So, that's. And
do you have a home for it figured out? Yeah, sorry,
I don't have a home for it yet. Honestly, that's all like actively result dependent. When the rig's running, we'll put it where it's kind of best used from an efficiency standpoint. But at this point right now, it could be any one of the three. I think is probably fair to say.
And you've done a pretty good job now. I apologize, I keep kind of adding more and more, but this idea of having to train up a local crew for skill sets, et cetera, right? That 3 rigs deep, 4 rigs deep. I mean, at this point, obviously, reading between the lines, there's enough kind of built up local knowledge for this. Do you have the trades required to make this happen?
Absolutely, and that's something that I've been actually kind of congratulating a team on down here on this visit is that. It's been a few months now that things have we've kind of gotten into a groove with the drilling, with the logistics behind it, and a lot of that has come from finding the right people. We've mechanics and having a welder on site and all things you don't typically think about as an explorer, but as a quasi drilling company as well, you do, and all the right people are there that things go smoothly, production stays consistent, and it's been nice. So I think adding the fourth one. I've said it a few times elsewhere that, the third one was a lot easier than the second one. So I'm hoping that trend continues and bringing the fourth online fully will be pretty smooth.
Sounds like you're having kids. So I guess at this point, I think I finally have satisfied as many questions as I have under my hat here. Final thoughts or final word to you?
I think we've hit it all. I won't add too much more. But no, it's an exciting time for founders, and we're happy to be financed for more than the next 12 months kind of thing as far as drilling goes. We see 65,000 plus meters next year. We're very excited to be in the position we're in and see a lot of potential for the property.
Yeah, well, Colin Padget, Founders Metals, cashed up $32 million in the bank, fully cashed for a very aggressive 2025, and I mean it's not like that's at this point already a fairly aggressive program. So. Thank you, Colin, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon. And good luck down there.
Yeah, sounds great. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. See you.